God said. It's all planned for the end of March. And I don't take words like that lightly, because when the Almighty speaks, you better listen. See, some folks wait on perfect timing. They wait for signs, they wait for miracles, they wait until they're comfortable to move. But if God already put the date on it, then your delay is disobedience. Let me tell you something. You don't have to know the whole plan to trust the planner. You don't need the details when you're walking by faith. All you need to know is this: it's happening. And it's already written. You've been through the fire. You've cried quiet tears. You've wrestled with loneliness, uncertainty. But still, you showed up. You stood tall. You didn't fold. And now God's saying, I saw it. I kept track. I didn't forget. And I'm about to deliver. Not late, not early, right on time. The end of March. So what does that mean? It means get ready. Not just emotionally, get your house ready. Get your heart right. Clear out the fear, the bitterness, the doubt. God won't pour fresh oil into a dirty jar. If you've been planting seeds, don't walk away now. Harvest comes to those who hold on. You were never waiting on the blessing. The blessing was waiting on you. He pauses, looks across the room. Listen, the world is loud. But the whisper of God, it'll silence every storm in your life if you trust it. And he didn't say, maybe. He didn't say someday. He said, it's all planned for the end of March. So don't miss your moment. Stand up, pray up, be bold. Because when March ends, something new begins. He steps back, calm, certain, finished. When God says something is planned, it's not a suggestion, it's a certainty. There's a difference between a man's plan and God's plan. A man might promise you something and break it. He might get distracted. He might change his mind. But when God says, it's all planned for the end of March, you're hearing from the author of time itself. He doesn't operate in guesses. He's not bound by confusion. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He writes the end from the beginning. That means nothing in your life has been random. Every tear, every moment of silence, every delay, every not yet, they were all part of a divine strategy. See, sometimes we think that God has forgotten us just because the process is painful or slow. But he hasn't. In fact, delay is often his way of building depth. If he had answered your prayer too early, you wouldn't have been ready for the weight of the blessing. You might have mishandled it. You might have let the wrong people in with you. But God, in his grace, said, wait, because when I bless you, I'm not blessing chaos, I'm blessing order. So when he says it's all planned for the end of March, he's telling you something very specific. Trust me with the timing. You may not see the full picture right now, but faith isn't about clarity. It's about confidence. Trust isn't built on seeing every step ahead. It's built on knowing who's walking with you through it. That means if you're in January and it looks like nothing's moving, keep going. If it's February and the doors are still shut, keep trusting. Because when the end of March hits, what was locked is going to open. What felt dormant is going to break forth in life. And here's the key. When you really believe that it's all planned, you stop panicking. You stop striving. You stop comparing your life to someone else's timeline. Because you understand, my moment is coming, and it's marked by God himself. That confidence gives you peace in chaos. It gives you rest in the middle of the race. You can start preparing now, not from fear, but from faith. Think about a woman who's 9 months pregnant. She doesn't know the exact minute labor will start, but she knows the baby is coming. So she prepares. She packs the hospital bag. She sets the nursery. She clears her calendar. Why? Because she believes what's been growing on the inside is about to show up on the outside. That's what God is saying when he declares, it's all planned. It's your job to get ready. Not to rush it, not to question it, but to prepare for it. So ask yourself, What does getting ready look like for me? Is it cleaning out my heart? Is it letting go of bitterness? Is it starting that project, applying for that position, forgiving that person, releasing that fear? Because if God has already planned it, your obedience is what positions you to walk in it. Don't waste time worrying. Don't delay your preparation. You're not waiting on a maybe. You're standing on a promise. And when heaven sets a date, nothing on earth can stop it. March may still be ahead, but the plan is already in motion. Trust it. Walk in it. And when the time comes, be ready to receive it. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting even when you don't. When God gives you a word, when He says something like, "It's all planned for the end of March," your job is not to figure out every detail. Your job is to believe, to move, to prepare, to obey. Because the truth is, you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. That's where many people get stuck. They want to know how, when, where, and with who. They want the blueprint before they take action. But that's not faith. That's control. God doesn't work on our need for control. He works on our trust in Him. Sometimes He'll withhold the how because He's more interested in building your character than your comfort. He's testing whether you can move without all the answers, whether you can walk when the path isn't clear, and whether you can still believe when you're surrounded by doubt. We say we trust God, but then we hesitate to act unless we feel completely sure. We want signs, confirmations, and a safety net. But when God says, move, that's the confirmation, that's the word, and that's enough. Faith means stepping out when your flesh wants to sit still. It means applying even when you don't think you're qualified. It means forgiving even when the pain is still fresh. It means speaking life, even when everything around you looks dead. God's plan for you doesn't require your full understanding, just your obedience. Noah didn't know what a flood looked like, but he built the ark anyway. Abraham didn't know where he was going, but he walked anyway. Mary didn't understand how a virgin could give birth, but she said yes anyway. And Jesus, in the garden, knew the suffering that was coming, but he still surrendered to the Father's will. That's what faith looks like. It's not neat. It's not always peaceful. It's not always rational, but it's always obedient. Some of the most powerful moments in your life will be the ones you didn't plan, the ones you just obeyed into. God says, end of March. You don't have to know what's going to happen. Just trust that it will. And prepare like it's already done. Pack your bag. Finish that journal. Release that fear. Build the ark, even if there's not a drop of rain. Why? Because when you act in faith, you're building a place for the promise to land. See, if you wait until everything makes sense, you'll never move. And if you keep waiting for certainty, you'll miss the miracle. Faith isn't for the comfortable. It's for the courageous. It's for the ones who say, God, I don't know how this will turn out, but I trust you enough to take the step. That's when God shows up. That's when things start to shift. So if He said it's planned for the end of March, then that's all you need. Start moving like it's already scheduled. Start praising like it's already done. Start cleaning out the old to make space for the new, because the blessing will meet you at the place of your faith, not your fear, not your hesitation, not your logic, but your faith. Don't be like the servant who buried his talent because he was afraid. Be like the one who multiplied what he was given. God doesn't bless perfection, He blesses movement. So keep walking, keep believing, keep trusting. The end of March isn't the beginning of something. It's the release of something you've been preparing for. And if you walk by faith, you won't just witness it, you'll step right into it. Preparation is the quiet proof that you believe God's promise. When God says, it's all planned for the end of March, He's not just informing you, He's calling you to get ready. He's telling you that your next season is on its way, and how you handle the now determines how you step into the next. Because God doesn't bless what's not prepared. He doesn't pour fresh oil into a vessel that's cluttered, leaky, or closed. Your preparation is the evidence of your expectation. Think about it. No farmer plants seeds and walks away without doing the work. The farmer tills the soil, waters the ground, pulls out the weeds, and watches over what's been planted. Not because he sees anything growing yet, but because he knows what's coming. He works while waiting. He prepares because of the promise. That's the posture God is calling you to take. March is coming, and with it the release, the answer, the shift you've been praying for. But the blessing is for those who've made room for it. Ask yourself, have you made room? Have you cleared out the distractions? Have you removed what God told you to let go of? Sometimes we want God to fill our lives with new things while we're still holding on to the old. But He's not going to pour destiny into a space that's still tied up in bitterness, fear, or cluttered priorities. Preparation requires alignment, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. Preparing might look like getting your finances in order, organizing your home, refining your daily habits, or fasting and praying. It might mean forgiving people you've held a grudge against, or finally letting go of things that feel good, but aren't good for you. When you take those steps, you're not just getting ready. You're showing God, I believe you. I take you at your word. That kind of faith moves heaven. People often miss their moment because they look at their current conditions and convince themselves nothing is changing. But preparation doesn't depend on what you see. It depends on what you believe. Noah built the ark when there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Joseph prepared Egypt for famine during 7 years of abundance. Esther prepared to go before the king when she wasn't sure if she'd survive. Why? Because preparation isn't about certainty. It's about obedience. What if the only reason you haven't received what you've been praying for is because you haven't prepared for it? If God sent the opportunity today, would you be ready to carry it? Could you handle it, manage it, protect it? These are the questions we don't like to ask, but they're the ones that matter most. The end of March is a divine deadline, but it's not just about what God will do. It's about what you are doing now. Don't wait for doors to open before you start acting like they're yours. Dress like you're already walking through them. Study like you've already been hired. Worship like the breakthrough already happened. That's the power of preparation. It aligns your now with what's coming next. God responds to readiness. When you position yourself in expectation, it activates heaven's movement in your direction. But you can't expect a harvest where you haven't prepared the field. So let this be the season where you say, Lord, I'm ready. Not just with my words, but with my actions. If He said, it's all planned for the end of March, then March is not the time to start preparing. Now is. Move with urgency. Move with purpose. Move with faith. Because when the moment comes, you won't have time to scramble. You'll need to step right in. There are moments in life when quitting feels easier than continuing. When you've prayed, waited, hoped, and still seen no sign of change, it's tempting to let go. But what if you're closer than you think? What if everything you've been through, the silence, the setbacks, the waiting, was never meant to break you, but to build you for the moment God already scheduled? He said, it's all planned for the end of March. That's not a coincidence. It's a divine appointment. And if He said it, He'll do it. But you have to endure. Endurance is not a passive act. It's not sitting still, doing nothing. Endurance is an active, daily decision to keep believing, to keep working, to keep praying even when nothing looks different. It's the inner strength to say, I may not see it yet, but I know it's on the way. Every time you chose not to quit, you were building spiritual muscle. Every time you got up when life knocked you down, you were showing heaven that your faith wasn't built on feelings. It was built on the foundation of God's word. The harvest always comes, but only for those who didn't walk away from the field. Imagine a farmer who plants seed and then gives up watering it just days before the breakthrough. Imagine the tragedy of missing your moment, not because it wasn't coming, but because you gave up too soon. Endurance is what gets you from promise to fulfillment. It's the bridge between the seed and the fruit. That's why the Bible says in Galatians 6:9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." There's always an if. That means your outcome is tied to your consistency. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to stay in position. You have to keep doing what's right, even when it feels pointless. Keep sowing love, keep serving, keep trusting, keep showing up. Because the reward isn't for the fastest or the loudest. It's for the faithful. The enemy's goal is simple: to wear you out before the promise arrives. Because he knows he can't stop what God has planned. He can only try to make you forfeit it. He'll whisper lies. It's never going to happen. You're wasting your time. God forgot about you. But those are just distractions meant to knock you off course. Don't let temporary pain make you lose sight of permanent purpose. Every trial has an expiration date, and yours might be right around the corner. The end of March may feel far away when you're in the middle of a tough January or February. But time has never limited God. He's not confined to your calendar. When he says, the end of March, it's not because he needs more time. It's because you needed more time to grow, to heal, to align, to get ready. You needed to be developed before the door opened. Because what's coming requires strength. It requires maturity. And every battle you've faced until now was preparing you to carry what's on its way. So don't give up. Don't let weariness steal your reward. You are closer than you think. Heaven has not forgotten you. God has not abandoned you. Your faith has not gone unnoticed. And your struggle is not in vain. You've been faithful in the dark. God is about to reward you in the light. When the end of March comes, things will shift. Doors will open, healing will flow, restoration will come, but only if you're still standing, still believing, still enduring. Don't miss your harvest by quitting a season too early. What's ahead is greater than what you're leaving behind. Keep going. You're almost there. When God speaks, his word is final. It doesn't need validation, agreement, or confirmation from anyone else. When he said, "It's all planned for the end of March," he wasn't guessing, he was declaring. That means there is no need to fear, no need to doubt, and no need to hesitate. Because when heaven issues a word, it is more stable than the ground you're standing on. His word is not a suggestion, it is truth. And truth doesn't waver, no matter what your circumstances say. We live in a world where words are often empty. People say one thing and do another. Promises are broken. Commitments are abandoned. Trust is easily shaken. But God isn't like man. Numbers 20:19 says, "God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind." Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? That verse is a reminder: if God said it, he's bound to it, not by force, but by his own nature. He is truth. He is faithful. The problem for most of us is not that God hasn't spoken. It's that we don't always believe what he said. We let our situations speak louder than our revelation. We look at what's around us and allow it to drown out what's been promised to us. But let me remind you, your situation is temporary, but God's word is eternal. Heaven and earth may pass away, but his word will never fail. So if he gave you a word for March, you can stand on that. You can build on that. You can breathe again because of that. Faith at its core is choosing to align with God's voice over every other voice. And the moment you make that decision, really make it, you'll start to walk in a different kind of peace. Because doubt is heavy, confusion is exhausting, but clarity comes when you stop wrestling with what God already settled. You don't have to beg for what's already been assigned to you. You don't have to chase what's already been planned. You just have to walk like it's yours. That's why the enemy attacks your mind, because if he can make you question the word, he can steal your momentum. He doesn't need to block the blessing. He just wants to block you from believing it's still coming. But the power isn't in the situation. The power is in the spoken word. And that word didn't come from your friend, your pastor, or even your own desires. It came from God. That means the word carries authority. It carries timing. It carries weight. And it's already in motion. God is not still thinking about it. He's already working on it. He's aligning people, places, and opportunities for the appointed time. And that time, according to him, is the end of March. So what should you do in the meantime? Stand. Stay faithful. Keep praising. Speak the word over yourself again and again. Declare it even when you don't feel it. Walk through your house and say, God said it's all planned for the end of March. Say it until doubt no longer feels comfortable in your mind, because repetition builds conviction, and conviction builds confidence. God's word doesn't need backup. It is the backup. And once you settle that in your spirit, peace will return. Anxiety will lose its grip. Fear will fade. Because when God speaks, that settles it. So don't let time shake you. Don't let delay scare you. Don't let silence fool you. If God said it's all planned for the end of March, then it's done. All that's left is for you to believe it and get ready to receive it. When God says something is planned, it's not just about what's coming. It's about what's about to begin. It's all planned for the end of March isn't simply a deadline or a date on the calendar. It's a divine transition point. It marks the close of one season and the birthing of something completely new. And here's what many people miss. When God declares the end of something, he is simultaneously announcing the beginning of something greater. The old is finished, the door is closing, and the page is turning, not because you forced it, but because God has ordained it. But what's coming isn't random. It's connected to everything you've walked through. Every fight, every failure, every stretch of silence wasn't wasted. It was preparation. It was shaping you, humbling you, sharpening your faith. You weren't stuck. You were being positioned. God wasn't punishing you. He was pruning you. Because what he's about to release at the end of March requires the version of you that's been refined, not the version that was still afraid, unsure, and unwilling to let go. When something ends in God's timing, it always makes space for something else to begin. But this beginning is different. It doesn't start with noise or spectacle. It starts with alignment. It starts in the spirit, often before it shows up in the physical. You'll start to feel it before you see it. Things that used to confuse you will suddenly feel clear. People who were draining your energy will start to fade from your circle. The weight of yesterday will begin to lift. Why? Because the new season doesn't carry the baggage of the old one. When God brings you into the next chapter, he doesn't ask you to bring everything from the last one with you. That's why this time matters so much. The end of March is not just a moment. It's a spiritual shift. It's the moment where heaven says, now. And when heaven says now, doors that were locked for years swing open without resistance. Resources that were unavailable suddenly become accessible. Prayers that seem forgotten get answered in waves. It's not magic. It's manifestation. The timing has come into alignment with the promise. But let's be honest, the transition can feel scary. The unknown has a way of making us hesitate. Even when you've prayed for change, when it finally arrives, fear tries to make you second guess it. But hear this, don't let fear keep you tied to what God is releasing you from. What's ahead is not only better, it's necessary for your purpose. Staying in an expired season might feel familiar, but it will suffocate your growth. You weren't made to stay in the hallway. You were made to walk through the door when God opens it. So when March ends, step boldly. Don't overthink it. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize for what God is doing in your life. Walk into the new with gratitude, with confidence, and with praise, because this next season won't be built on striving. It will be built on surrender. This won't be about proving anything to anyone. It will be about walking in what's already yours. You've survived the crushing, the pruning, the waiting. Now comes the release. Now comes the flow. Now comes the evidence of everything God whispered to you in the dark. And all you have to do is walk into it. The end of March isn't just the end. It's the beginning of the becoming. So open your hands, open your heart, and step into what God has been preparing for you all along. The new has arrived.